I'm here to talk to you guys about the hottest hoax around. If you guys couldn't guess, I'm here to talk to you guys about global warming. Now, to start off, just a show of hands, how many of you guys actually know what global warming is? I know it's kind of a stupid question. Okay, now how many of you guys actually believe this is something going on in our Earth right now? Okay, perfect. In my TED Talk, I'm not here to talk to you guys about how we need to go green or give you information about how every second we inhabit our Earth, we're killing it. I'm not here to talk to you guys. I'm here to give you guys a second outlook on it. I don't ask for you guys to agree with me on my opinion on it, but I do ask that you guys listen with open ears on something that involves our generation and our future here on Earth. Global warming, by definition, is Earth's average temperature increasing as due by the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect refers to the greenhouse gases, primarily CO2, and how they absorb radiation and retain heat. As you can see by the diagram behind me, sun radiation goes into Earth's atmosphere, and it is either rejected back into space or absorbed into the atmosphere by the greenhouse gases. If you didn't already know, the greenhouse gases are CO2, water vapor, methane, and nitrous acid. Once the sun's radiation is absorbed into the atmosphere by these radiation, it thus heats Earth's atmosphere. The greenhouse effect is a natural process by Earth, and it is used to balance out Earth's temperature. It is needed to help regulate it. Without the greenhouse effect, Earth would be inhabitable because we would be freezing to death. We would have no heat. What many people don't know is that there have been times in history when the temperature has been dramatically higher and lower than what they are now. Starting off is the medieval warming period, starting in AD 950 and ending in about approximately AD 1250. During this time, temperatures consisted about 5 degrees higher than what they are now today. This time in history was even before the Industrial Revolution, when mass quantities of CO2 were being produced into the atmosphere due to the factories. So if scientists believe that CO2 is the main driver in global warming, then when in a time in history when the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere was higher, then the temperature would be higher. Then the temperature during the Industrial Revolution would have thus been higher than the medieval revolution, but it's wrong. So it's just kind of something to think about. After this time came the Little Ice Age. This was about from 1650 to 1850, and it had temperatures about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. These times in history just show how delicate our weather system can be. It fluctuates with ease, almost just as a snap of a finger. If scientists are barely able to predict what the weather is going to be like tomorrow, what makes them so sure that they're able to know what the weather is going to be like in months and years from now? This whole idea about how we're all going to kill our Earth from how we treat it is just part of the great global warming swindle. Climate scientist John Christie has now found research that refutes his later work on how the climate changes. His recent work shows that high temperatures are not increasing, but they're actually decreasing. Many people who believe in global warming actually haven't done the research behind it. They just believe what they hear off the 5 o'clock news. The news tells us how icebergs are melting and how the sea level is rising and how we're all going to be drowning in it. But what they don't actually tell you is that when icebergs are melting, there are also some growing, and people seem to tend to forget this. And there actually hasn't been any significant increases in our sea level for us to be worried about, because there are icebergs growing as the ones are melting away to balance out the sea level. But the news lacks in informing us this. So instead they give us visions of New York sinking and Manhattan becoming submerged in water. The media almost works as a form of propaganda to try and make us pro-global warming. They show us commercials of polar bears that look as almost they're stranded in the middle of the ocean with the last piece of ice before it melts away. But what I have found is that research has been done on these videos to where if you were to expand outward on the camera lens, you would see that the polar bear is actually very close to larger icebergs. The camera crew just happened to catch a piece of ice that had broken off with the polar bear on it and made it seem like it was stranded in the ocean. And they air these to try and persuade you guys on stuff. Now right now you may be asking you guys, why would the government care about trying to make us pro-global warming? And to be honest, it's easier for them to market us eco-friendly products, such as the Prius. if this whole thing about global warming wasn't going on, then like we wouldn't care about buying a Prius or like eco-friendly cleansers. But since we hear global warming and how we're killing our earth, we're more likely to buy them, and they are more expensive than what a car that takes gasoline would cost. So this is an easier way for companies and the government to make money on us. Don't get me wrong, I do understand that there are 1 billion people living on this planet, and I do think we need to conserve some of our natural resources before they all run out on us. But I just don't fall into the global warming frenzy as some people may have and make it a big old long production. But because I believe that the Earth has its own natural weather patterns, and it does this on us to help regulate its temperatures. And it's something natural that Earth just does by itself, not something that we are causing upon it. And that's my TED Talk.